Welcome to Key Conversations, where you get to connect with the best of the music business, unlocking the secrets to exploding your music career, presented by In the Key of Success. I'm your host, Cheryl B. Engelhardt. The conversations you're about to hear are between our special guest and participants of my MX4 course, the Marketing and Branding, Money-Making, Mentorship Mastermind for Musicians. They are singers, songwriters, composers, producers, and artists just like you, asking their burning questions of our experts while transforming their careers over 6 weeks. If you think this could be you, check out mx4course.com to schedule a free half-hour coaching call with me to see if we'd be a good fit. So, let's get started. All right. I am really excited to introduce John P. Kellogg, a practicing entertainment lawyer specializing in the music industry. He's the assistant chair of the music business and management at Berklee College of Music in Boston, Massachusetts, and the author of Take Care of Your Music Business. I'll post a link to that so you can buy it. It's an awesome book, taking the legal and business aspects you need to know to 3.0. Which reached #1 in the paperback and general music business category sales charts on Amazon.com, which is an amazing feat. He's developed and taught the first free massive open online course, MOOC. You got some tongue twisters in here.
Easy for you to say, huh?
Which is on the music business, introduction to the music business. So lots of stuff going on. Such an amazing resource for artists in general. And I am so grateful that you are here taking time to speak with us, and welcome.
Well, I'm glad to be here. Thanks for the invitation, Cheryl. And glad to see your students here as well.
So I just wanted to get started, and before I toss the ball to these guys who have prepared some questions for you, I just wanted to hear, John, what are maybe 3 highlights in your career that have sort of been turning points for you that got you to where you are today?
Great question, Cheryl. I have an it theory, and I describe the progress of my career by describing the it theory. I say, first, you have to have it. And students here at Berklee have to go through a very strenuous audition and interview process. So I tell them all that they obviously have it, that indescribable thing or talent that helps them connect with an audience. But a lot of people think that all you have to do is have it and you're going to make it. Well, that's not the case. And so I say that if you have it, you can make it if you work it. So I found out that I had it as a singer in a high school group that I was managing, a vocal group, and they were trying to perform a song, and it was a very difficult song by the Temptations, where the lead singer, David Ruffin, flipped up an octave on one word, and no one in the group could do it. And so finally I went on the stage and said, that's not how you do it, guys. This is the way you do it. And I hit the note, and the guy said, John, you can't be the manager of this band. I was 17 years old. He said, you've got to be in the group. So that's the first time I recognized that I obviously had a talent for singing and possibly connecting with an audience. And of course, my goal was to record with a national recording artist. At 17, that was my goal. Now, how did we do that? Well, the group I was in high school, we performed at talent shows, we performed at community centers, and we did a lot of work. Then I went off to college. I started my own band. We started performing on campus. And after a while, we started performing off of campus. We started performing on a circuit, on the I-90 circuit, which is the New York Thruway, Albany, Syracuse, Rochester, Buffalo. And during that time, we were able to build up a network of people and resources that we could call. So I'm saying from about the time I was 17 to the time I was 24, 25, I was working it. And after that period of time, I finally moved to New York. I was in Syracuse, New York at that time, in college. But when I moved to New York City, the first call I made was to another person who was a band leader, who had a band called the New York City Players that played in a lot of the same cities that my group played in, who I had met over the years. And because I moved to New York, he was the first one I called. And I said, Larry, I'm in town. I'm here to sing. He said, great, John. I'm glad to see you moved to New York. Come by the studio. And I went to that studio and I started recording demos, and this was with the group called Cameo. And within about 6 months, after 7 years of working it, building a network, developing my talents, I was put in a position to achieve my goal of making it. And that was recording with a group that had a national recording contract. And of course, after that, I went to law school. And once again, you have to affirm what it is that you're trying to do. I told people when I first went to law school that I wanted to be an entertainment lawyer. This was in the 70s, and entertainment law wasn't a big field. So people wondered, what is an entertainment lawyer? But by just affirming that, there was someone at the school who knew the cousin of one of the OJs, which was my idols, really, my teenage idols as I was growing up in the city of Cleveland. They lived in the city of Cleveland as well. And so I was able to make that connection simply by affirming it. And that's what really started my career in entertainment law, representing the OJs. And of course, the great late Gerald Levert, who was a remarkable singer, songwriter, and producer, R&B producer, was my client for over 20 years. And that's really enabled me to get into the teaching positions that I'm in now, to get the kind of experiences I need to be able to share with my students by way of the book and classes like this.
Wonderful. It's so great because you ask people what got them to where they are, and people that have legendary careers like yours have worked with all these people and have had this opportunity, but it comes down to something that happened usually in your teen years, like one thing that brings it back to like this was a turning point. And it's so interesting to ask that question in such a way that it's a turning point, and it's not just like here's the list of the cool things I've done, but it's like this was the thing that had me shift, and to be able to trace it back, and I think that's a really good source of inspiration for people that especially all these musicians that are working at it. It can get kind of like, and then if you can have that moment really tangible and say, oh yeah, that got me, I can connect with an audience like that. I think that's really inspiring. And it's so great to hear it, even not just from people who are in their 20s, just starting out, and it's very fresh, but it's something that stays fresh over decades. Like I've got mine, and it's a great moment to have. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
And I know you work in all areas of music industry, from contracts and licensing, and you share all sorts of different things with your students. So unless there is a specific topic we wanted to cover, I wanted to sort of see what these guys came up with in terms of their burning law questions, and do a round of questions for people. I know we've got two other people on the phone, so I'll make sure to include them too. But let's start right here with Chrysanthi. Do you have a question right off the top of your head for John?
Yeah, I've attended some like CLA lectures in Los Angeles, or California Lawyers for the Arts, and sought legal advice before, and like read the lawyer section of the All You Need to Know About the Music Business book.
Yes.
And I'm still at a loss for like a good option for an independent artist, like on a budget, to seek law services, because I know you can hire someone for, the person that I got a quote from was $800 an hour, and I was like, oh, it's not worth negotiating my $300 contract.
That's tough. That's a very tough question. I don't mean to cut you off, but I understand, and it's an excellent question as well. Most cities have a volunteer lawyers for the arts. I don't know if you check with them. I'm sure if you're in Los Angeles, you can reach out to them. I'm sure they have a Los Angeles volunteer lawyers for the arts. I see Cheryl's raising her hand. She must have some direct.
There's one in New York. There's a whole national thing. I actually I was looking for a thumb drive that I got when I went to one of their meetings, because I wanted to meet a lawyer there. They have one in New York City, but they work with people all over. I couldn't find it, but carry on. So I just got excited.
So just check your local listings, no matter where you are. If you're in LA, if you're in Omaha, Nebraska, they usually have the Bar Association, State Bar Association. It's not a State Bar Association organization, but most major cities do have volunteer lawyers for the arts exactly for that purpose. Because yes, it's very expensive. Entertainment lawyers who are experienced will charge you anywhere from $300 to $400 to $800 up to $1,000 an hour. So it does get very expensive. So these are lawyers who practice entertainment law who volunteer, In other words, they're giving these services for free for people who can't afford to pay a lawyer.
This is a great resource. Thanks. Great starter
Oh,
question. Yeah.
let me add one more to that. Check with your local law schools as well, because many law schools have programs. I know at Harvard Law School, they have the Recording Artists Project, which they call the Harvard Rap Program, a Recording Artists Project. And they have law students that provide the services under the guidance of a faculty member there that is experienced in entertainment law. So I'm sure they probably are. Are you in LA?
Yes.
Okay, you could check Pepperdine, UCLA, USC. I would think they might. Southwestern Law School is an excellent law school as well, and they have a great entertainment law program. Okay.
Awesome. Great. Thank you, Chrysanthi. Casey, question for John.
It's kind of a follow-up to the previous question, but when do you feel is the proper time to actually go out and get an entertainment lawyer?
I think once you really start working it, I'll go back to my experience I had when I went to college. We started our own band. And at that point, we became pretty successful in the area. We bought equipment. We bought a van. Of course, we bought the wardrobe. We made investment. We were in business. Recognize that most artists are entrepreneurs. You're really taking the risk to become successful, and it's important for you to put together a business structure. And that's one of the things I focus on in my book, is putting together the right type of entity, either a corporation or an LLC or partnership or sole proprietorship. And so it's important to possibly go to the volunteer lawyer for the arts, particularly if you're in a band. If you have more than one person involved, you're going to want to set up a structure that enables you to conduct your business properly. And one of the most important things that these structures protect is, should something happen and the group or the band dissolve or break up, or should someone leave, you have provisions in the band agreement that allow you to go through that process more smoothly than if you didn't have it. So check out the volunteer lawyers for the arts. Once you're getting involved in the business and in making investments, acquiring assets, possibly having the potential to incur liability by signing contracts, you definitely need to have the advice of an experienced entertainment lawyer. I mean, you can go to a lawyer, but if they aren't experienced in entertainment law, it could be a little difficult. And that's why I urge you to go to the Volunteer Lawyers Association, a volunteer association of lawyers for the arts.
That's great. Just to stay on that topic, Casey, I think that's a really great question. I used to think, I only need a lawyer when I need to make a contract or when I have something to write. And a lot of the work I do, especially as a composer, I'm getting contracts from the companies that are hiring me. And at what point do you, what are the red flags? Let's get this to a specific question. What are some red flags that I should be looking for, or every contract that comes in, should I be contacting a lawyer? Is there something?
Yes, I would say that for every contract that comes in, particularly when you're dealing with intellectual property and you're writing songs, I say that the copyright is the most valuable asset in the music industry. Why? Because your monopoly on that piece of property, that intellectual property, can last for your lifetime plus 70 years. So you have to think about your heirs, and so you can sign away many of those rights at the very outset if you aren't careful. And so it is important to at least have it reviewed, explained to you, and possibly even negotiated on your behalf by an experienced entertainment lawyer.
Great. Awesome. Okay. Let's see. I think we're going to be able to hear, we've got Alex on the phone here. Alex, if you are able, yep, there you are. Do you have any questions for John?
I was more curious about how John got involved with Berkeley.
Oh, great question. Great question. Hold on just for a second. I'm trying to find a copy of my magazine. I got involved through Berkeley through Billboard magazine. And I do a whole spiel on Billboard magazine in all of my classes, how it's helped me. I started reading it as a freshman in college. And the benefit of reading Billboard magazine every week is that you can find the people who are behind the scenes. Not only does it have interesting articles on issues that you need to know about, but there's also pictures in each Billboard magazine are people behind the scenes that you need to know. And it's important for you to put those faces together with the names, because as you progress in your career, you're going to want to go to conferences, you're going to go to events where a lot of these people are going to be participating. And if you know their names and can identify them, you'll be shocked. When you walk up to someone behind the scenes, they are thrilled that you recognize them. And if you can tell them that, hey, I saw you in Billboard magazine, I heard about your latest artist, they're doing very well, you're going to strike up a great conversation. If you say I'm a student, they're going to be even more enthralled. You might then, well, I'd like to do an internship with you. So I advise students always to read Billboard magazine. Billboard magazine changed my life 3 or 4 times. First, when I was with my band in Syracuse and we were trying to get a recording contract, I found in the marketplace, which is the classified section, an ad for a New York producer that was looking for an R&B vocal group to record over hot tracks that he had laid down. And my band got the call, and we went to New York City. And this was in 1975. We recorded in a new studio at that time called the Hit Factory. Hit Factory went on to become one of the biggest studios in the world, but it was in a 4-story brownstone. And we recorded with the finest musicians at the time, Cornell Dupree, Steve Gadd, Leon Pendarvis. It was amazing just by responding to an ad to Billboard. All right, I'm going to finish this. And then I went to, now that was way back in the 70s. Then when I decided to segue into education, I looked in Billboard magazine. I saw an ad for an assistant professor of music business at University of Colorado at Denver. That was a job I got in 2002. And then in 2006, I was looking through Billboard magazine, and I saw an ad looking where Berkeley was looking for the assistant chair of the music business management department. And that's why I'm sitting in this chair right now in the Berkeley building. So Billboard magazine is a very, very important resource that I suggest everybody to read on a regular basis and study the names and faces.
I love that. That's so great. Great question, Alex. Thank you. Stay tuned for next week when we continue talking with John Kellogg and hearing all of his insights onto what you need to do to protect yourself legally. Please don't forget to rate and comment on iTunes and Stitcher Radio if you like this podcast. It's the best way to keep it going, get more subscribers, and continue to share this awesome information with the indie music community. Thank you, and we'll see you next time. All of the music on this podcast has been created by yours truly. The theme song is called Inevitably, written with Cameron Ernst and produced by Joey Ock. You can find all the songs, plus more information on my music career at CherylBE.com. If you want to be one of the reasons I can keep this podcast and my blog Living on Gigging going, then head to patreon.com/CBEmusic. There, you can contribute $1, $2, $5 for the creation of each of these free musician resources. Together, we can keep them coming and inspire other creative people to do what they love and do it well. Again, that's patreon.com/CBEmusic. Key Conversations is sponsored in part by Bandzoogle. They make it easy to build a beautiful website for your music. Their step-by-step system gets you online in minutes, and you can choose from hundreds of mobile-friendly themes and customize them with their easy point-and-click editor. All the features you could possibly imagine for a professional website are built in. So, because you are a Key Conversations podcast listener, you get a special 3-month free trial just for you. Go to www.inthekeyofsuccess.com/resources and click on the Bandzoogle logo to access your free extended trial.